Welcome to the Lean Out Your Business podcast, a show dedicated to helping entrepreneurs accelerate business growth and simplify success. I'm your host, Krista Grasso, and I've been working with businesses for more than 2 decades to help them lean out and optimize what's working while eliminating anything that's not adding value. So if you are ready to get more time back in your day, more profit in your business, and to do business differently, growing and scaling on your terms, let's dive into today's episode. Hello, everyone, and welcome to another episode of the Lean Out Your Business podcast. Today, I am so excited to dive in and talk about how we can leverage content marketing to land more clients. And with me today is Melanie Herschorn, and she is a content marketing strategist and coach whose goal is to support women business owners to land more clients by conquering their content management challenges. And I don't know about you, but I think we all could benefit from this. She is the founder of VIP Digital Content, where she provides the strategies necessary for her clients to attract their ideal client, nurture leads, and position themselves as experts in their field. Melanie, I'm so excited that you are here today. Welcome.
Thank you, Krista. I'm so happy to be here too.
Yeah, before we dive in, because I have so many questions for you today, tell us just a little bit about how you got into what you do and, what do you love about what you do?
Okay, well, it was definitely not a straight shot to get here. I was kind of zipping and zagging around the country and zipping and zagging with different businesses. So I started out thinking I was going to do PR. And then I decided, after a certain redheaded comedian told me off on my birthday twice, that PR probably wasn't for me. So I went back to school and I got a master's in journalism. And you're going to develop this pattern. You're going to see the pattern that develops as I tell you this story. So then I am working as a journalist in Pennsylvania, and it was awesome. And I loved it. And I literally gave my life to it. I even planned a pregnancy in a non election year so that I would not let down my news team. Anyway, as they say, uh, you know, woman plans, God laughs. And I was laid off while I was pregnant.
No.
So then it was like, well, now what? And I had this, I'd always wanted to be an entrepreneur. I was always entrepreneurial. And then I finally had the opening to do it. So I decided to design and manufacture breastfeeding clothing. So I learned everything I could about being a business owner and a manufacturer and a designer, and I sold my clothes on nordstrom.com for several years. But eventually the writing was on the wall, and I said, "You know what? I don't want to have to count inventory anymore. I don't want to have to basically design things and keep up with the trends. I miss enjoying fashion." And there were a bunch of other things that happened too. And I decided, what can I do next that's going to sort of marry all the things that I know and I love? And that's marketing, specifically helping women entrepreneurs. So that is what I do now. I am all content all the time, helping women business owners with their content strategy so that they can always sparkle and shine online in a noisy sea of people who are all just there.
Yes, and I love so much about your story, and I resonate with so much of it because I do have product-based businesses myself. I am a designer. I do track inventory. So I hear all of those things, and I have to say I love my product-based businesses, but boy, my coaching and consulting side of things are just so much simpler.
Right? There's no counting. It's great. The inventory's in your brain and you can take it wherever you want to go.
Yeah, inventory day is not my favorite day of the quarter. But so one of the things that I've heard you say is that the two most important elements of marketing your brand are your message and consistency with that message. So the first thing I want to dive in with you is your brand message. So how do you actually start with and craft that effective brand message so you have that foundation for your content marketing?
What a great question. So, of course, it's going to be customized for each person. But in general, broad strokes, the best way to figure out what that message is to figure out who your ideal client is, and then to speak to them in a way that they understand that what you're saying really resonates with them. So, for example, if you are a fitness coach and you're talking about, weight loss, losing weight, but your ideal client doesn't care about weight, they want to build muscle, then everything you're going to say is going to kind of fall on deaf ears. So it's really about doing that market research, figuring out what your people want to know, and then speaking to them in that way.
Ah, so good. And how often do people put things in their own words and communicate what they want to communicate instead of communicating things that their customer needs to hear?
Exactly. And, we always say, well, I am my ideal client, but you're not. Maybe you were 3 years ago, 5 years ago, but now you're not your ideal client. And so you really have to listen and communicate. And that's part of what marketing is, right? It's about communication with your people, listening, and then talking to them. So it's a conversation. It's not a monologue or a soliloquy.
I love that. And I feel like that is just good advice for everything that we do is it is a conversation. I love that so much. So, once you have your brand message, right? You obviously want to get that in front of your ideal target market. So, how then do you start to leverage content creation to get that visibility for your brand and ultimately land clients?
All right. So you have physical products, but I'm guessing you sell them online.
I sure do.
Right. So whether you have service-based business or a product-based business, right now and going forward for, I would say, ever until something else other than the internet is invented, things are going to be online. So you don't have a brick and mortar store that somebody can walk into, pick up your stuff, look at it, ask questions, try it on, go into the change room, take a picture, call their friend. You get the idea. You have your content. That is how they get to know you. That's the first touch point, and the 10th touch point is your content. And that's where that consistency part comes in. So you put out that content, you give them value. You create that know, like, and trust factor. You build up your relationship with them. You position yourself as a thought leader in your industry. And then the clients come because you're doing it consistently. There are a lot of times where people say, I have a Facebook group and I go live, about once every, I don't know, 500 weeks. What do you think? It's going to be crickets or it's going to be every time you go live, once a quarter, once a year, people are going to be like, oh, she's back. No, no, no. They're not waiting. They're not waiting. But once you establish that consistency, they can rely on you. And that's part of that trust and credibility.
Yeah, absolutely. And something that I hear so often from my clients, and I'm assuming you probably hear a lot too, is people are like, yeah, yeah, I get it, but I don't know what to say. I don't know what to create for content. So, and I want to dive into some of the other things that you hear from people, but how do you help somebody understand what type of content they should be creating and really just simplify the whole process?
Okay, well, this is exactly what I do. Like for 4 months straight, I will work with a client and we start with broad strokes, figuring out what their content pillars are and their content topics, and then coming up with a weekly content plan, a quarterly content plan, an email marketing plan, any kind of launch stuff planned. So it's all a question of planning. And then that how and what, the what do I write? Well, that comes with practice. And a lot of times people for whom writing or, posting on social media is not their zone of genius because they're actually doing something else. That's how they make their money. It's a tough, sometimes scary thing. So, the best place to start, what is your typical client asking you all the time? What are people constantly asking you? For me, it's this question. So it's a great thing to answer. But, let's say you're a real estate agent and people are always asking, how can I, move into my dream home when I'm currently in a house half the size? Or perhaps you're a life coach and people are always saying, you know, how can I have better work life balance? So that's where you start and start taking notes. Things, ideas are all around you. And all you have to do is tune into them, take notes and say, okay, well, people want to know how they can have a great work life balance. Well, here's 3 tips, and then post those. And then post them everywhere else because repurposing is also going to save you time and money.
Yeah, so let's dive into repurposing because I am all about optimizing everything that you do, and that is just the ultimate form of optimization. So, how do you recommend that people approach repurposing their content?
Ooh, I love this question. All right. Well, it depends where you like to write your stuff first. Now, I tend to like to write my stuff in all different places, but just for the, just to be streamlined, let's say you're going to start with your weekly email marketing. So let's say you send out an email once a week. Well, you could take that email, you can turn it into a blog post. You can then take that blog post, break it up into 5 different smaller bite sized pieces, and use those as 5 different days worth of social media captions. And so let's say you posted it on Instagram, but you also are on LinkedIn, post the same thing. You do not have to reinvent the wheel. You are repurposing the wheel, and you can take what you wrote on Instagram, emojis and all, and post it on LinkedIn. LinkedIn does not have to be as formal as people think it is.
That is so true. And I think that holds a lot of people back from using LinkedIn. But even more broadly than that, I think people naturally think, well, I created this content for this platform. Therefore, I need to create new and different content for this other platform. And I'm guessing you're going to tell us that's not true.
Right. Not only am I going to say that, but a lot of people say, well, what if somebody saw it on Instagram and I post the same thing on LinkedIn?
Mm.
Is that going to be bad? And I say, no, that's good because that means they're getting that next touch point. Remember, just because we said it doesn't mean everybody saw. You're beholden to algorithms that prevent most of your followers from seeing what you post. So re- repetition is actually a good thing because people are going to hear what you said and then maybe they'll even hear it again and again. And then when they need what it is that you sell, they're going to remember you and call you.
Yeah, so true. And one of the things that you mentioned was email marketing. So let's dive into email marketing and how does this fit in and what do you recommend when it comes to email marketing?
Okay, so email is super broad, but I will say that you do not own your social media followers. It's a sad fact, but it's true. And if somebody on high of Facebook decided to shut down your Facebook group tomorrow, how would you reach all the people in it? That is why having email addresses is crucial because then you know you can always reach your people. So, that said, how often should you be talking to them? I say at least once a week. For some people, that is just a very difficult thing. It brings up all these feelings, and that's okay. So start with once a month. And no matter what you do, whether it's a sales email or a hand raiser email or a regular old newsletter, provide value and end with a call to action. Always be leading people somewhere, whether it's join my Facebook group or join my program.
Do you have any tips for getting people off of social media or some of those other platforms and onto your mailing list?
I think they can go hand in hand. I do. It depends where you live. So if you live in Europe, we have that whole GDPR situation. And I cannot really speak to that, but I can speak to us in the North Americas where we don't have to worry about that. So, for example, if somebody joins your Facebook group, you can add those questions at the beginning. And one of those questions can be, hey, I have a freebie. What's your email address? I'll send it to you. So then they've given you permission to go ahead and add them to the list. And then taking people off a platform, it's almost more difficult to take people from one platform to another than it is to take them from one platform to your email. So, because people have their, I'm an Instagram person and that's it. You are never going to find me on Facebook kind of thing. So, if you offer a freebie on whatever platform you hang out, that is how you're going to get email addresses. That is how you grow your email list. In a nutshell, offer freebies, have a landing page, and put that link everywhere you are.
Yep. Love it. Super simple, super effective. So let's dive in and talk a little bit more about social media, right? There's the good, the bad. Most people have a love-hate relationship with social media, but I think there's also a lot of things that are unnecessary, right? And there's a lot of opportunity with social media to lean out and to really simplify our approach. So how do you recommend that people actually leverage social media, and what do they not need to do?
Okay, the first thing you do not need to do is be on every platform that exists because that's the biggest waste of your time, and time is money. And unless you want to be awake 24/7 trying to engage with people, it's just not going to be worth it to you. So I would say find your top 1 to maximum 3 platforms and really get to know those platforms and really learn the nuances. And then no matter what platform you choose, engage. Engage with other users. That is how you grow your community and your network, and to leverage that to grow your business. I mean, that's how you meet people. So you don't necessarily have to go on to Instagram, say, I'm finding my next client on Instagram. It could be, I'm going to find a really cool power partner, somebody that, I can refer and they can refer to me. And so that's how you have to view it, as 24/7 networking. It's not shooting fish in a barrel to find your next client. It's more of a networking party that is around the clock.
Yep, I love that. That makes a lot of sense. And I do with a lot of my clients, they will come to me and they're like, well, do I do Instagram? Do I do Facebook? I thought I was supposed to do a live on Facebook, but now everybody's doing reels. And how do I know what to do? And how does this fit into what I'm doing for my content? And so, do you have any tips for people that are feeling the overwhelm by you just hear every day, you need to be doing this, you need to be doing this, you need to be doing this. So, how do you choose what makes the most sense for your brand and your brand messaging?
Oh, what a great question, Krista. Okay, so you don't need to be doing anything except finding the way that works for you to grow your business in, like Krista says, a lean out method sort of way. You don't need to overwhelm yourself. So, how can you choose the right platform? Pick one, as long as your people are there. So that's the first thing. And then whatever that platform is, try not to have FOMO about the other platforms. So if you know that your ideal clients and your ideal referral partners are on Instagram, then that's fantastic. And yes, on Instagram, you should do some reels because that's boosting people to the top at this time. It might not be in 5 years from now, but it is right now. But if you are absolutely 100% in love with being on LinkedIn and you know that your people, all your people are on LinkedIn, then don't worry about Instagram Reels. That's not going to serve you at all. Anytime LinkedIn comes out with a new feature, utilize that. So there is that element of FOMO. And, everybody's spending a year inside online. That definitely changed how we feel and we operate, because we think, well, we have to do all the things online because that's how we get seen. But this all goes back to consistency. If you're going to pick one platform and be consistent on that platform, that's going to serve you a whole lot better than if you try to spread yourself super thin and do like spotty jobs on several platforms.
Yes, such great advice. And I agree 100%. Less is definitely more because you can go all in and you can really do it well and show up well in front of your client. So, love all of those tips, which takes me to one of the questions that I ask everybody. And I'm really curious to hear what you have to say. But how in your business do you work smarter, not harder, and keep things lean?
Okay, so if you had asked me this question 6 months ago, I would have looked at you cross eyed and said, I can't tell you. But, as you know, having a coach, even if you are a coach, every coach needs a coach. So I have been fortunate enough to work with a coach that has helped me figure out what I'm doing. And I'm actually working fewer hours and enjoying my life more. And how am I doing that? It's planning. So I am planning my content. I am repurposing my content. I have a VA that takes what I've planned and repurposed it and puts it on all the platforms for me. So I'm not sitting there typing into Facebook Creator Studio and delegating a little bit. And it's also, I would say, a mindset. It's just like we talked about how you don't need to be all the things to all the people on social media. I was on 6 platforms. I'm now on 3, and I might even go to 2. Stay tuned for that.
Can't wait to see which two you pick if you make the change. Everything you said though is so important. I believe everybody should have a coach of some kind. I don't care if you are a coach. I don't care how many years you've been in business. And if you're seasoned, I've been coaching other businesses for 21 years. I still have a coach and I will always have a coach
Mhm.
because I think that you need that other person that can see the simplicity and the alignment in your business that sometimes you don't see yourself because you're so in the weeds of your business and it's so personal to you. So I love that. And I mean, everything you said just makes so much sense. So everyone pay close attention here because you should all do what Melanie did. Just saying.
Thank you. If only my kids listened to that, that would be awesome.
I'll chat with them next.
Thank you.
So tell people more about where they can find you and what do you have coming up? Anything, anything big coming up in your business?
Well, I feel like every day is a big, exciting day in my business because I am never doing the same thing every day. It's different every single day. Depends who I'm working with, who the client is. It's like being a general assignment reporter like I did 10 years ago. I am just helping people, whether they're in health and wellness, or it's an author, a lawyer, a doctor, whomever it is, a life coach, a business coach. So every day is different for me, and it's really fun. But so what I will always have coming up is spots open in my coaching program, which I do, which is one-to-one content marketing strategy. But I would love to give your listeners a an opportunity to take a free quiz, which is super fun. It's called the Winning Content Quiz, and it kind of helps you figure out what areas you're doing great with your content, what areas you might need some help, and it's just at mycontentquiz.com.
I love that. And we'll put that in the show notes. So everyone make sure that you go through and take that quiz. I'm actually going to do the quiz as soon as we're done talking because I want to see how I measure up. That's great.
Yay.
And where else can people find you? What's the best way to get in touch with you?
All right. Well, I would say find me on Instagram at VIP Digital Content, or I'm on LinkedIn and it's Melanie Herschorn. I'm pretty sure I'm the only one in the world. Funny story, I did meet somebody on Instagram who says her maiden name was Herschorn, but her name is now Melanie something else. So I still declare I am the only Melanie Herschorn.
That's excellent. All right, we'll make sure that everybody can find you in all of the links in the show notes. So, guys, make sure you look right below this recording for that. And my final question for you is any other tips, anything else that people should be keeping in mind when they're thinking about and developing their plans for their content marketing?
Ooh, yeah. Okay. So I can give you all the strategy in the world, but if you don't have the right mindset, you're just going to be sitting there going, "But I don't know what to do, but I don't know what to do." You know what to do. You, this beautiful human who's listening to us right now, You are the expert in your business. You come with a unique skill set, a unique background, unique experience. And that is what makes you uniquely qualified to provide this content. So dig deep and say, okay, what I say is not going to be judged, because when you come at it from a providing value perspective, you are doing a great service for the world because we want to hear what you have to say.
Excellent tip. Excellent way to wrap up this amazing interview, Melanie. Thank you so much for all of the wisdom and tips that you shared today. Can you just really quickly tell people that URL for the quiz one last time, and then we will sign off for today?
Of course, it's mycontentquiz.com. Krista, thank you so much.
Thanks so much, everyone. Hope you got a ton of value out of today's episode. We will see you again next week. Thank you for joining me for another episode of the Lean Out Your Business podcast. I hope you got a lot of value and actionable insights from today's show, and would love if you take a moment to leave us a review. If you have any questions on today's episode or on how to lean out your business, join us over in our private Facebook community, where every week we do live training and Q&A, and I'd love to have you be part of the conversation. Head to leanoutmethod.com/group to join us. And before you go, be sure to subscribe to the show so you're the first to know when we release a new episode. We'll see you next week.